Hello students, welcome to Ms. Proctor's class, Communication 100A, Introduction to Mass Communication. If you have any questions or concerns about this class, feel free to email me. I'm at aproctor@iau.la. Feel free to email me about anything that you have, any questions about any assignments or any quizzes, or if there's any errors or discrepancies, just please let me know. All right. So I'm really excited to teach this class. For those of you that had me before, I love communications. I have a master's degree in communications. I have an undergraduate degree in communications. I love all things communications. So this class is really fun for me to teach because we get to talk about things that are applicable in every single day life. So since this is week 1 of Communications 100, Introduction to Communications, we will just be going over some items on the list that we will be discussing today, whether you're in my online class or whether you're my face-to-face class, all right? So this week, in week 1, we're going to be talking about how we're so engulfed in mass media environment if we realize that our not, mass media is all around it. Especially with a lot of young adults today using social media, that's a form of mass media, that's a form of mass communication. Whether it's turning on the radio or whether it's listening to the news or on television or on the internet, we're always around mass media. It'd be very hard for students, especially young adults, to not receive any information through mass communication. On average, the person looks at their phone every 4 minutes. So yes, indeed, mass communications is all around us. We just have to be aware of what's going on and what's out there. So some things we're going to talk about this week. We're going to talk about how communication through mass media has a huge impact on us, the viewers, the intakers of this mass media. So whether you like it or not, mass media is sending out messages, and it's up for the receivers to dissect and to look into what they are giving us, right? We don't necessarily have to believe everything that they show to us, but it is out there for us to view and for us to watch. Another thing that we're going to talk about, how the potential drives mass media behavior in a capitalistic market. We're going to talk about mass media is a technology-based process. Another form of mass media that some of you might not be that familiar with, especially some of my younger students, we're going to talk about newspapers. Now, back maybe 10, 15 years ago, to have the occupation or to have a study as a journalism study, that was a very legitimate degree of focus. But now that we see people don't necessarily need journalism because we have bloggers who are willing to blog for free, or we have bloggers who are willing to blog for pay. So the study of journalism or journalists as itself, they're not as common, they're not as prominent as they were just 10 years ago when I was in grad school. It was a very common major. But now we see the focus shift from that because everything's so technology-based and technology-oriented. Why would a company pay a journalist when we have people who are willing to do it for free online? All right. Another thing we're going to talk about is explain how the mass production of the written word become possible through movable metal type. Describe how chemistry is the technology basis of movies. Something that I like to talk about with my students. A lot of students have English as their second language, or it's through mass communication that they've experienced music in their countries through mass communications. I have nieces and nephews, for example, who live in the Ivory Coast. And though English is not their first language, French is their first language, they know every single word to a Justin Bieber song through this mass communication that has exploded throughout the world, right? And so they're able to understand what's going on in the U.S., they're able to watch the news, they're able to watch Instagram, they're able to watch Facebook, and they're able to have a complete understanding of what's going on. They're able to understand English even though it's not necessarily their first language. Let's see, we're also going to talk a bit about the traditional media products and new products are emerging from digital technology, and understand how mobile has explained the technology-driven process of mass communication. So going back to what I had said earlier, journalism is not necessarily something that is a super focus because it's very hard to even find a newspaper stand, right? If you're trying, I just tried for 20 minutes trying to get a hold of LA Times to get some newspaper articles for my class, right? Very difficult, very complex process. Now I need to try to find a place, the newspaper stand, that will actually sell newspapers, because having something in a paper document is almost becoming a thing of the past. People don't necessarily want to read through a newspaper. They want to be able to just look at it online. All right. So moving forward, we're going to talk about the DQs that are up for this week. So the DQ number 1, keep a media log for a few days detailing the time you spend involved with mass communication. Every time you pick up a newspaper, magazine, or book, every time you turn on the TV, radio, CD, DVD player, log into the internet, add up the time, and post what insights you have after you review the log. I'm sure you will find this information to be very interesting, how much you actually take in of mass media. Okay, and then the second DQ, we're going to read Tech 54, Where Are You by Larry Smith. At this website, it's available online. You're going to have to look online to see. Okay, this article is from the June 2004 Chronicles, the author's experience eliminating all post-1950 technology from his life. And then with the DQ, you're going to discuss the article relative to Vivian's concept of digital dependence and or digital integration. So according to these critics, marketers encourage consumers to spend more money than they should on goods and services that they really do not need. So with that DQ, you're going to pick a different position and then you're going to defend it. Again, if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to email me at aproctor@iau.la, and I look forward to having you in class this term. Thank you so much. Bye.